Hello and welcome back to the channel. You join us live. We are live on YouTube, and hopefully James can hear me on the screen. Double
Yes,
checking. Oh, brilliant! You're there.
yes, I hear you.
Brilliant. The amount of testing that we've been doing behind the scenes in the background. We've done a lot of work into this to make sure we can hear each other and we can see each other, and the technology seems to be doing really well. You join myself in the shed, James in the house, and yeah, very warm welcome to all our new subscribers. We hope you're enjoying the channel, and we hope you're enjoying the content so far. Uh, Today's live broadcast, what is it all going to be about? Well, we're going to be talking about mobile CBs. We're going to be talking about the laning that we've done previously over the last probably couple of weeks, couple of months. So yeah, we're going to that. Upcoming jobs that we've had on the cars, so on the Freelander and the Disco. We'll go into those jobs, and I think also the jobs that we've got on James's Range Rover. So I don't know if you've watched the previous video that we did, which was the Welsh laning trip. That was in the Elan Valley in Wales. James's car, the Range Rover, had a rear air suspension bag, which suddenly burst on one of these lanes. I think it was called the Golf Links lane. I think from memory, wasn't it, James? I think.
It was, yeah,
Yeah. So from
yeah.
memory, which one it was, but that's going to be a job that has to be done on there. I'm reading a script here because my memory is awful. It is really terrible. We're going to talk about how we film these things that we put out on YouTube. So what kit do we use? Because there's sort of a bit of interest in how we actually film
A
these
little bit behind the
um,
scenes sort of thing, isn't it?
behind the scenes. So they're using the drone, the camera equipment, and the laptop technology that we use to put all this together. So yeah, I hope it's going to be a really good, interesting hour. And if you yeah, like what you see, give us a like, subscribe, comment, join in on the chat there. James is keeping an eye on that, so he will try his best to keep up to date with if you put anything on there. And yeah, join in the conversation. And I've also got the screen down there, so I can hopefully see what you guys
Yeah,
are
please do
talking
ask
about.
questions. You know, this is
Yeah, do
it's
ask
it's
questions.
for everybody to ask questions. Well, we often get a lot of questions and stuff on the comments, little things like running costs of the vehicles, how do we
Yeah.
do it, the sort of questions about the places we go to. So this is sort of that area really for you to all sort of jump
Mm,
in and ask the questions. We can sort of answer them live as we go as well. So it'll be
yeah.
interesting to see what sort of people have to say as well.
Yeah, it is. It's about getting people involved, letting us know what you think about the channel, and yeah, as James says, put your questions in there. Say hello, and we'll try and give you a way back. Right, what should we talk about first, James? What should we talk about first? Yeah, what should we talk? What should we discuss first? Should we
Yeah,
talk about so let's talk about the most recent. Let's talk about the Elan
the
Valley,
the Welsh trip. Yeah,
the
that was
Welsh
a lot
trip.
of fun. Sadly, obviously, didn't go to plan at the end, but it was a lot of fun either
Yeah,
way.
it was. It certainly was. So we took a trip down to the Elan Valley. So we went in the Discovery 2 and the Range Rover P38. I had a trip down to the Clearwen Dam and the Clechtdog. Excuse my pronunciation on that, but the Clechtdog Dam, I think it's called. And it was a great trip. It was a really good trip
It
until
was, it was.
the Range Rover unfortunately had its surprise, which
Yeah,
yeah, which we'll come to in a bit. But the lanes that we did, so I think we did two lanes, didn't we, in total in that trip. And the first lane, which was the Clearwen Dam, I think that's right.
yeah,
Uh, that was absolutely fantastic. The
yeah,
scenery was really good, and both
yeah. Stunning.
cars really excelled there. We had to build roads. If you haven't had a look at the video already, then do take a look, and you'll see on there the
I
road that
think
we've had the build.
to date,
Go on.
probably my favourite lane to date. It's got to be my favourite lane
Yeah.
to date we've done. It was absolutely amazing, and it was challenging without putting the cars at risk, if that makes sense. So you know, it was
Yeah.
challenging enough for especially myself, who's still quite new to green laning. Obviously, I think this is my third or fourth time now. I think in the Range Rover green laning. It's
Yeah.
definitely my most technical one I've done. I've seen, I do watch a lot of other videos now. Some of them are quite aggressive. So this was a really
Mm.
nice one to do. Good for all vehicles as well, because we saw bikes, we saw quad bikes, saw all sorts in it, wasn't it? So it was a lot of
We
fun.
did.
I do
It
highly
was
recommend it to anyone.
it was a good mixture, wasn't it? Because we had that
Yeah,
little bit of a water crossing
yeah,
at the start, which was really good. We went in with your waders.
I
James
did.
went,
Yeah,
he's went in with your waders, which you got specifically for this trip, and you had to go in, didn't you? And it's always good. It's good advice if you come across those sorts of challenges, like with the water, etc. Uh, it's not always what it seems, is it? Because you went in with the
no.
waders and you found it was deeper on one side than it was perhaps on the other.
Yeah, so if you saw at the beginning of the video, I told Ben to go round a slight curved angle. I mean,
Yeah,
it'd probably been fine if we went straight across, but it was my first river crossing, and I don't
yeah.
I don't necessarily trust myself yet with this sort of stuff. So
No, no.
it's all trial and error, and it's all practice on my end.
It
Thing is with
really is.
well, you got to be careful with the Range Rover.
Mm.
So if the door sills aren't up to scratch and water ingresses into the cabin, the main ECU, the main brain of the car is under the driver's footwell, so or under the
Yeah.
driver's seat. Sorry. So if water comes in and touches that, it's well and truly game over for me, and that would have been a very interesting recovery job for the Range Rover. It
Yeah,
definitely ended worse than it did.
than it did, and certainly
Yeah,
with the Range Rover, you can do the height level, can't
I
you?
can raise the
You
height
can
on the Range
put that
Rover
right
courtesy
up
of
in
the
the
air
air with your
suspension. Yeah,
Range Rover. Yeah, something which we discovered with the Discovery as well is that you can raise the back so it goes up. I think a couple of inches, and that does raise the back up, but obviously not the front. And that was good for when we were going over more rockier type terrain,
yeah.
wasn't it? So we could lift that great big tow bar, which is
Well, but
essentially
yeah, your
a
plow on the back
the
was
plow on the back, isn't it? Which yeah, you've got to be really difficult,
yeah.
be really careful with, and you have to make sure that doesn't
There's a
that's not
few times I
scraping.
watch Ben drop over a couple of rocks, and there'll be a bit of a clang from the tow bar on
Yeah.
the back of yours. Yeah, it
So
did go out a few times.
that was our recent trip to the Elan
Yeah,
Valley, and absolutely incredible scenery. The dam behind, and the sort of the scenery was just brilliant.
yeah,
Really, really good out there, and it really did. It was a good technical challenge as well, like you say with the cars, wasn't it? Uh,
yeah,
you know, getting to see what they could really do, and I think we did put them through their paces at
yeah.
some
Well, yeah, I reckon
stages.
we did. I mean, even I
Definitely,
must have clouted the back before we had the incident later on.
yeah,
Even when the car was working as it should,
yeah,
I'd obviously clearly clattered the back a few times, judging by the exhaust.
yeah.
Because that was pushed up under the rear bumper. So I'd obviously
Yes.
clouted it somewhere and given that a nudge. So it didn't cause any serious damage. It just pushed it up a little bit.
Yeah, there
Yeah, I'd
must have been,
obviously
like you
clouted
say,
something.
there must have been a moment somewhere where on the lane you obviously come across something, and
Yeah,
unknown to us, it obviously caught the back of the exhaust and pushed that at
yeah,
the bottom of the bumper, which is
yeah,
something which we'll have to sort out at another stage.
yeah,
But that laning trip was really, really good, and we really recommend it.
yeah,
Visiting that area, because as I say, the views are spectacular. So
yeah.
that's our latest lane trip that we've done. We've all been to various other places. I think the time before that was the that was the Simply Land Rover
Yes, the
show
Simply
down
Land
in
Rover. Yeah.
Bewley.
So that's where we
Uh,
got the poster behind you from for, wasn't it? So
that
yeah,
poster up there, that was on the show. We all had posters for our cars. So if you went to the Simply Land Rover show down in Bewley, and you would have seen us there. It was a great event. I think
yeah,
as the years have gone on, though, it has sort of shrunk slightly. It wasn't. I think when me and Ben first went there, or a couple of years back, and the show was sort of a lot bigger then. I do seem to remember that field which was behind us. There was a mass amount of cars behind there. That whole field
there
was
was
full.
another year, the year before. Well, that was when we had that massive heat wave as well. Was it last year?
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
yeah, that's right. Because we
Yeah,
was in the other field, wasn't we? We were closer,
yeah,
in the middle,
yeah. We were in the main
and
centre last year, but that was just the Freelander, wasn't it? That's when we had
it
just the
was that was
Freelander.
just the
Yeah,
Freeland, and we all went together as a small
yeah.
group. But yeah, that's a great show if you can get involved in that, and you can go around and sort of see over different
And it
cars and
looks like
things
there's
like
a
that.
few other Land Rover events been on as well. I've noticed. I'm not sure where, but every
Mm.
now and then I see on the various social media platforms that people are going to across the country to Land Rovers and Range Rover events. So it'll be nice to
Mm.
get out and do a few more events. I think with the cars, get ourselves seen, sort of, see more people maybe,
Yeah.
like the people sort of from the community, and that'd be nice to meet a few of you. So it would be nice to try
Yeah.
and get out. I'm going to try and get out a bit more in the Range Rover, being an older sort of not quite the classic, but a more modern classic, trying to get
Mm.
out to car shows and events. So, and again, I'll have the little poster on display on the vehicle. So, if you do ever see us at any of these or come past us, do please come over and say hi and introduce yourself. We love meeting everybody.
Give us a wave. Give us
This
a
is it.
wave. We do try to wave, don't we? We do try to
We
wave.
do.
Ben and I sort of just waved at a Discovery. I think it was a Discovery Two yesterday, and I think I said to Ben, "So quick, give him a wave, give him a wave." And last minute, I think he did wave. I think as he went past. So yeah, always wave. We're always waving.
Yeah.
So that's our latest lane in, and that's where we've been at Elan Valley in
Yeah.
Wales, and that was a great trip. Sadly, though, it did end with I think the last lane that we did, which I think is the golf links. That's the lane
Yeah.
that we struggled on,
Yes.
and we struggled because unfortunately towards it was more I think in the middle I think of that lane,
Um.
wasn't it?
Well, we
Was it the
so we done
middle?
we had the first bit where we saw the defenders go past.
Yeah,
We went up round the bit of a rocky bit, and we went round again over another sort of rough bit. Because at the very start of that lane is probably where it's at its most technical.
yeah,
So it was actually nearer the start of the lane is when the car failed. So basically, what happened is, if you saw the video, you'll see the pop. And basically, my
mm,
right hand rear airbag for the suspension perished. It ripped, and it went bang. And basically the back end of the car then sat on the blocks.
yeah,
Um, but what we this is where it got difficult and quite interesting is, do we now turn around and do, because we were at the beginning of, or near the start of it, do we
near the
turn
start.
around and just do the short little bit to the beginning,
Yeah,
but that's the most technical bit of the entire lane, so where we risk damaging the car because now I've lost all my ground clearance. That was the hardest bit. We got the rocks and stuff to climb over. The
yeah,
rest of the lane, still quite rough, wasn't as rough as the beginning bit. So it was, do we do
no,
the longer journey but with less technical bits, or do we try and just get it back straight back? So we
yeah.
chose the longer bit because we figured it'll be easier. There was some scrapes every now and then.
There
I
was
was
a bit. There
clenching
was a few
as
hairy
the
moments,
exhaust
wasn't
hit. Yeah,
there?
every now
There
and then I
was.
clenched as the exhaust hit.
There was.
Drag the tow bar and bumper. I did check. I think I did take a small amount of paint off the underside of the bumper as well, where it
Oh
has
no.
clipped rocks and taken stuff off. So it did do some damage, sadly. Um,
Yeah, it's such
but
a
it
shame
does seem alright
because
though.
yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? It was such a shame, and like you say, we were kind of we'd just gone through the good bit of the golf links,
Yeah.
and we were sort of a quarter way through it, and I think it would have been worse off to actually, like you say, go
Turn
back,
around, yeah.
turn around. I think that would have been worse off. So I think we did the right thing, and we sort of limped, didn't we? Limped our way out
Yeah.
of that lane, and you know it it is what it is. It happened, and hopefully we can fix it. So I think you're
Yeah.
ordering some pieces, aren't you? Some bits and
I
pieces.
am. So I'm
Um,
going to get some parts ordered up some point this week, probably the end of this week. So it's literally all I
yeah,
need is two rear airbags. So it's the one that's gone. But
yeah,
discussing with Ben, and Ben had a quick look under the car when we got back to campsite. So what he reckons
yeah,
happened is, the car, it's year 2000, so it's 23 years old.
yeah,
The rubber, like on your tires, if you've got a really old set of tires in your car, you'll notice the rubber starts to perish. Well,
yeah,
that's what's happened to my airbag. The rubber's perished, and the constant bouncing around and being quite rough with it on the lanes lately, I think has
yeah.
stretched the rubber so much that it's just split basically and just gone
Just
pop.
giving out.
So
Yeah,
the chances are, if one's gone, the other one's probably going to go. So
yeah.
while we're under there, might as well do both bags at the same time. So yeah, plan is to get some parts ordered this week, and then in 2 weeks' time, we'll get them fitted up. Then hopefully back on the
Mm.
road again.
Yeah, because it'd be really great to have you back on the road, and
Yes.
we can go out exploring and more laning, and certainly I know as we go towards Christmas, as we get towards
Yep.
December, I don't want to mention Christmas because literally, I mean,
It's come round
like,
too quick, hasn't it?
I know, hasn't it just? I mean, like, it's October. Wow, it's 23 degrees outside and it's October. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
we're looking at Christmas. So we're looking at we want to do a trip down to Imber Village, which is down in
yeah,
Salisbury Plain. And we will hopefully be able to go with James and get that Range Rover back on the road. So yeah, that's the laning and where we are with James's car. Um, I think that brings us really well onto comms. Let's talk about comms and how that
yep,
helped us on the lanes, because we use different things, don't we? We use different technology. You got the dog. The
yeah,
dog's
yeah.
rest.
Folks just appeared.
Esther's joined you on the conversation. We love Esther. So let's talk about comms. We've got it's still what you have. So you've got the President Randy 3,
I've got the
which
President Randy 3. So
President
I've
Randy
got
3.
the mobile CB. It's a handheld CB.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's just a normal handheld CB, and what I've got is the wire goes from the handheld
yeah,
via the passenger door under the bonnet, because there's a nice, perfect little guttering in the bonnet that it fits through perfectly as if it was
yeah,
meant to be there. And then yeah, I've got the aerial permanently then fitted on the front of the bonnet.
yeah. It's a good set. It
Yeah,
works, doesn't it, for
it
you?
does. It works. It
It
works. It
works.
works for now. I mean, it's not a permanent setup. The things will change down the line, but it's
Yeah.
that's down to funds and various other things that need doing on the car before we get to that point.
Yeah, it does work though, and what I really like about James's, well, right, the CB that you use, it's a lot easier to use than what we use, which is
Very user
basically
friendly. Yeah, so it's
it
quite a
is.
modern. It's like a modern handheld CB radio.
Yeah, it's really
It's very
modern.
user friendly. It's very nice to use. Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean,
then you compare it to the brick.
well, this, yeah, I was going to bring that in. So we use this thing, which is something looks like from the 1980s. It's basically the Midland. I forgot what they call this. Now it's the Allen Midland Allen now 42, and they've sold this unit for years. I think it's been one of their probably their best sellers of mobile
Yeah.
CBs. But it's just so stuck in time. There hasn't been any. You'd think the developers of and the people who sit at the desks within Midland would change this and develop it more, and but it obviously works. It works for them, and it
Yeah.
does seem to work.
Well,
But
if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Sort of
exactly, yeah,
mentality, I
we like that
suppose, isn't it?
motto. We do. If
Yeah.
it isn't broke, don't fix it. And this certainly isn't broken. I think there's improvements that they could do. I
Yeah.
think the functionality and the usability of it could be improved. Because what I like about yours, it's so easy to transition from AM to FM.
Yeah.
You can't just do that. There's not a flick of the switch. It's almost like you
Yeah.
have to go into some settings, and it can be all sort of very confusing, and
Yeah.
I get lost in that. I have to go googling instructions and things, and it's really really difficult. But on the lanes we use that, don't we? We
Yeah.
use these comms. They're really useful
Yeah.
for when
Well, the
whoever
handheld's good for you, isn't it? When you're out and about
it
filming or with the
is.
drone, so you can take the handheld out and stand
Yeah.
wherever you need to be, and you still have communication with us. So when you're out filming, me and Ben will
Mm.
have the main comms in the vehicles, and then you can jump out and do your filming from the side and tell us to wait or tell us to go and do your
Yeah.
take on full director mode.
Yeah. This is it. I find it so easy. The only problem I have with it is the you can keep basically these things come with like a short stubby antenna, don't they? But
Yeah.
as we've tested before, I think there was a Lake District trip we did, wasn't there? And we tried that with the short
Yeah.
stubby antenna, and it just the range on that was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It
it wasn't
just,
great, was it? No.
I mean, you didn't even go out of sight, and the range I literally just dropped off. You couldn't hear me
Yeah.
at all, so I had to go out and buy this great big long antenna for this thing, which if you're not careful, you can poke yourself in the eye with it. It can be quite
Yeah.
dangerous. But yeah, it's just not. It's great, but it isn't, and it weighs a ton. You just got to have it clipped onto the back of you, and it's not perfect.
No.
But we use that, like you say, on the lane, so it's great for communication. We've also used the Midland G7 Pro PMR units. So
Yep.
in Ben's car and the Freelander 2, we use those. We've got the GB1, I think it's called,
Yeah.
in Ben's car. So the PMR set in Ben's car is the Midland GB1. That's like basically a mobile version. Connects up to all the handheld PMRs, and that seems to work really well.
Yeah.
But because you don't have one of those, it's sort of like we don't really have an either of these
Become a little
anymore.
bit
Really,
redundant now, isn't it? Yeah.
they've become a bit more redundant. We're using more
Yeah.
the mobile CBs.
Yeah.
But comms is all pretty good. I mean, the disco,
Yeah.
that's got the what's that got in it? I'm just trying to remember. That's the Midland
That's the same as what you had in the
GB5.
Freelander as well.
Yeah, same in the Freelander. Sorry, it was the
Yeah.
M5, not GB5. M5 is a Midland M5
Yeah.
CB radio. That's in the disco, and Ben's got that as well.
Yeah.
And they were okay. There was a problem
Yeah.
though, wasn't there? And I think since we've taken the CB out of Ben's car and we're open to put it back in again, we noticed a lot of corrosion. There was a lot of corrosion on the
Yeah.
on the actual area attachment.
What was that? Where the sort of terminal is for the connector
Where
for
the
the
terminal,
aerial?
yeah, so where it connects up to
Yeah.
the mount that we've got for the roof bars, there was a lot of corrosion within that. So I don't know if anybody's watching this and they know why that would be or how we can stop that. If there's any CB antenna specialists in watching us, then please comment, let us know what we're doing wrong there, because I'm really confused why there's rusting going on, whether that's just normal because it's open up to the elements. And what we've done is just wire brushed it off and fix all that back in, and hopefully that will sort the problem. We don't know. That's CBs, PMRs, comms.
Yeah.
I'm going through this list. Time is upon us. I mean, look, 30 minutes in, and we've got like an hour. So let's talk about, what do we want to talk about?
I say, well, I suppose really, what's next for the cars?
Yeah, what's next for the cars? So
yeah, so you've got a list of stuff for yours. Ben's got a list for his. I've got a list for mine.
Yeah, I can remember. There's a bar. If I remember rightly, there's a bar on the disco. I think it's like a crash bar or something like that, which is hidden away behind the front bumper. That needs replacing. There's a slight oil leak from the ACE unit. Anybody who owns a Disco 2 or has done, they know about the ACE unit and how temperamental it can be, and it's very open to the elements because the type of piping that it uses is just corrosion nightmare underneath that car.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep on top of it. There is a small leak from that ACE unit, but it's enough just to keep your eye on and top up.
Yeah,
they did have a coolant leak. We're kind of there. And I think hopefully what we've been replacing, we didn't replace, but he tightened the, what's it called? Engine something.
What's this for the
This is like the core plug.
Like a banjo bolt or something, was it?
It was the core plug.
Right, yeah.
The core plug for the coolant. So he's tightened that up now, and that seems to have
it's a bit of a fear it's going to be a head gasket, wasn't there?
Head gasket
potentially.
Job. Yeah. Ben's actually, I think, wanting it to be the head gasket, because I think he wants to take it all apart and he wants to break it down into pieces.
He wants the challenge. He wants an excuse to dismantle it, doesn't he?
He does. He wants an excuse to dismantle it. He wants to and do it all. And but to be fair, if he does that, then it'd be great, because then it'd have a new head gasket. There would be other things that we need to replace. I think the manifold is slightly warped, so that would need changing.
Yeah, so it'll be a big job, but you could do a lot of do a lot in one hit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a weekend, if not 2 weekend job to be able to do that. The Freelander, I'm going to struggle with the Freelander because Ben isn't here, unfortunately. He's out and about. But the Freelander, from memory, so the Freelander has, I think what Ben's got to do on there is 2 rear shock absorbers need changing on there. That's something which he needs to do.
He's actually got round to ordering the parts for those now, hasn't he?
He has. He ordered those. When did he order those? I think he ordered those
a couple of days ago, wasn't it? Friday, I think.
Ago. Yeah. So he's hoping to get those as soon as those get delivered. He'll be on to that. And I've been sort of hassling him, and he's like, "Come on, get your rear shock absorbers done, because they need doing." What else needs doing on his car? From memory, that's the main thing I can think of.
That's about it, really, isn't it? So he's generally kept up with most things. I think it's just the shocks that need doing on the Freelander for now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is some rust in the paintwork, so that it's typical of the Freelander 2s if you have one. On the boot lid, where the little chrome strip goes on the boot lid, you'll typically get rust either side of that, and that's typical on the Freelanders because the panel gap between that and the plastic trim, if it's too close, water can sit there and then start to eat away and get into the paintwork. Don't ask me how, but it seems to do
It's
it.
the moisture trap, isn't it?
The moisture trap,
Traps
and
the
that's what
water in there.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then over time it bubbles into the paintwork, and then it causes
We
a
know how much
rusting.
Land Rovers love to rust.
Oh, well, yeah, this is it. It's a rusting nightmare, and of course
It
Ben's
is.
left it because that's just how it is. But it's getting to the point now where it's starting to really flake. So that's another
Yeah.
job he's got to do. We've said about the range, haven't we? There's a few things
Yeah.
on there
Well,
as a good
I've
list.
got I've got a fair few on the range, so it needs. Well, we think an ABS sensor he's doing on it,
Yeah,
because it's I've got a speed sensor issue. Sunroof will be something that he's looking at eventually because it doesn't open, but that we think's the trap that the sunroof runs in is broken, easy
yeah,
enough fixed. Front the door handles need doing because the cams inside the handles don't work properly, so they're a pain to open. The kids really struggle to open them. But other than
yeah,
that, most of it's servicing stuff. So it needs servicing. I'm gonna do
yeah,
all the oils. I think I'm gonna take do the gearbox oils, all the filters, diff oil. I'm literally gonna give it a full everything. Cause I'm not sure when it was last done.
yeah,
Climate control doesn't work because it's got a problem with the potentiometer on one of the motors, things like that. And then it needs, as we know, a new exhaust system because
new
the rear
exhaust.
exhaust is extremely loud because it is a straight through system at the moment, courtesy of there being no baffling in the rear boxes at the moment, and it does sound a bit.
That
It's
was awful, wasn't it? I
as
was
much as
coming
I
out
love
of
it,
there.
it's a bit much.
Yeah, no, I remember that, but it was like this hair, wasn't it? All this
It
like
was like hair like a wig, yeah.
it was like synthetic hair coming out the back of the
Yeah,
back
well,
box. It was most strange.
fiberglass. Yeah, it's fiberglass. And every time
Yeah,
I pulled it all out, I put meters and meters of this stuff out, and I thought, right, that's it. It's fine now. No, it
yeah,
wasn't. More meters of this stuff would come out, and I thought, that's it. Then more would come out, and every time I thought that was it, more would come out, and yeah, that seems to have seems to have stopped for now. But then
stop
again,
for
I've
now,
driven it,
doesn't it?
really driven it since, so
Yeah, it's
be
just when you
interesting
think
to see.
it's just when you think it's got rid of it all, and then suddenly you end up
Yeah,
with like even more comes out of that
no,
back
this is
box.
it.
God knows where it's coming from, but
This is
it
it.
just looks like a bird's bum has come out
Yeah.
the back of your
Is-
exhaust, which is just it's like what is that doing at the
yeah.
back of the
Well, my
exhaust?
problem is
Um,
because of the center section's custom. I now need to get a
yeah,
custom rear section. Hence why it hasn't happened at the moment because it's not a case of just replacing those two boxes. It needs an actual custom section built now due
yeah,
to the middle section having also been a custom built. So it's not a case of just replacing it. It needs an actual needs to go to a professional to actually be rebuilt, an
rebuilt.
actual exhaust specialist. But other than that, there's not much else left to do to it. I've got plenty of things I would like to do to it. I want to get
Yes,
spotlights. There's some spotlights I want to put on the front bumper.
yeah,
I'd love to get some of my spotlights on it. Get the amber lights like what you've got. You've
yeah,
got
yeah.
your amber lights. I wouldn't
Got the
mind some
amber
of
light. We like
those.
a few amber flashies, don't we? On there, we do like them on there.
This is it. So there's stuff like that I want to get. Maybe, long term, I might even do the front and rear bumper to actual heavy duty off road bumpers, winch
Yeah,
bumpers, so a front bumper with a built in winch system, because you can get all these for the mass. People do make them. And
yeah,
then long term, going back to the CBs, I'm going to actually rip out the center console for where the sat nav is, because the sat nav's
oh
extremely
yeah,
dated,
yeah,
doesn't work when you got the
yeah,
clock. That's all going to come out, and then I'm going to put in there an actual touchscreen sort of infotainment system in there. So
yeah,
that'll be where sort of Android Auto, CarPlay, that sort of stuff, radio and everything will go into that. And then where the radio set is at the moment, where the tape player is, that'll come out, and then I'll get a single DIN CB unit, and that'll be where my radio will go for the communication for the CB. So it's all going to be done
wonderful.
nice and neat. Everything's going to be put in. Everything's going to have its
Yeah,
place. So,
it
but
looked pretty smart.
that's probably going to be 2 years down the road from now, if not longer.
Yeah,
It'll be a
so
way
I think
time before I do that.
you sent me a photo, didn't you? I think
Yeah,
of a similar setup, and it did look really
yeah,
impressive
it
and did
does
look
look
really
very smart.
smart.
It looks nice and tidy and neat. That means I haven't got a CB sat on top. Then
Yeah,
also means I haven't got to have my phone up here for the sat nav and that CB sat here. Everything's there in the console.
yeah,
It looked nice and neat, I reckon. So
yeah.
yeah,
No, I
I've
think
got
it would look
plans.
pretty
That's my
good.
future plans. They're my
Yeah.
future plans for the vehicle. So I've been shopping around, but I think for now it's a case of fixing what needs fixing before I
Was
start adding to it.
yeah. I know this
So
is the
that's
thing, isn't it?
way down the line.
If you own a Land Rover, or you own, well, it doesn't have to be necessarily Land Rover, so any car, 4x4, whatever it may be, there's always going to be a list of things that you have to do.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think more so if you do take, if you have got a 4x4 off-roader, and you start to use it off-road, then of course they're gonna break more easily, aren't they?
rattle free and brake and
They're
yeah,
gonna perish, and that's something which, yeah, we've noticed since using Ben's car. Certainly, once you start using it off road, things
yeah,
do perish a lot quicker than they would do normally.
yeah.
Bushes and things like that do seem to um, perish a lot easier.
They do. Yeah,
Um, I'm just trying to think what on the disco, what else. I remember we had a consistent problem with the I think it was the rear parking sensors on the disco.
yeah,
So any viewers which are watching that have a disco too, uh, it's a common problem with these things, and it's a very, very basic system. You've got basically parking sensors, a button at the front in the dashboard, and in between all of that is some wires and an ECU. That's all. That's basically
yeah.
all
A
it
little,
is. It's a
basically a
really
computer
simple
chip,
system.
isn't it? A computer
That's
chip with a
all it
speaker
is.
on it.
It
A
is. It's a
buzzer or a buzzer.
really.
It's not even a speaker, it's a buzzer.
It's a buzzer.
Very
That's how
rudimental
basic.
system, but it
It's
works.
really basic, but it works, and it does the job. And that took ages to get to the bottom of that. What was
Yeah,
causing that? But we're there, and we now have functioning parking sensors at
yeah,
last. Because I was wondering about you, but driving these great big things, when you're reversing, you need the last thing you want to be doing is getting in and out all the time. To know what's at the back of the car,
yeah,
'cause it's so frustrating if those parking sensors aren't working. So
yeah.
that was one thing we're tackling on the
Yeah.
disco.
Like I say, I know
So
you've been looking at accessories and various things for the for your Land
yeah,
Rover, haven't you? But it's convincing
accessories.
Ben as well, isn't it?
It's convincing Ben. There's a whole host, isn't there? There's a shopping cart you can get for these cars.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Um,
you go absolutely nuts with accessories and
yeah,
things. I mean, I'd love to get on mine. I'd love to get the roof rack, a proper roof rack, not the roof bar, but an actual like cage, and then
yeah,
have like spare wheel, jerry cans up the
yeah,
rescue equipment. I just think they look really smart with the LEDs on all the spots on those and spots on the front bumper.
yeah.
Um, I think they just look really smart. There's
I
loads of
think
stuff I'd
so.
love to do to it. I could go absolutely nuts. I could spend a fortune on this car. Oh, I could. There's so much I want to do to it. So I'm quite looking forward. I'm looking forward to 5 years, five if not 10 years down the line to see where
Yeah,
we've come with these cars. If we've still got them, I'd like to think we do.
I'd
I'd
like
like
to
to think
think
they'll
so as
still be
well.
the original cars, but with all their off-road kit on them and
Off-road kit.
various stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
it's one thing
excited to
you
see what we
don't
can do
see,
with
and I
them.
think it's one thing at the Land Rover show down in Bewley, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You didn't see many of the P38s, which were actually there wasn't much on them, was there? There were a lot of
No, a lot
basic
of
ones.
there wasn't many P38s, was there? There was a few. It
No,
was
no, there
mainly
wasn't.
discos and defenders, but the
Yeah,
ones that were there, like you say, they were all standard. They're all pretty
yeah,
much standard. Not
yeah, they
many
were.
people toy with them. A lot of people get the P38s,
Yeah,
and they'll use them either as just a toy for a bit of fun, as in, but keep them standard,
yeah,
as sort of like a bit of a show car, or they'll use them as workhorses, but for towing things, caravans, trailers, things like that.
yeah,
We don't tend to see as many done on the actually done for off-roading with all the kit and extra accessories done on them. There's a
yeah.
few on I've seen on social media which are being done up, and I love them. I think they look absolutely amazing. And the thing is, it's a very, very capable off-road vehicle. It does absolutely
Oh God,
amazing
yeah,
off-road. It's
yeah,
blooming
they
brilliant.
are.
Yeah,
They
absolutely
really
great
are.
car. Yeah, it does amazing off-road. It does just as much as the Discovery can do.
Yeah, and you can
You
have a
know,
look at the again for people watching this stream. If you haven't seen it already, we did a comparison video, didn't we? Of
we did.
we
Yeah,
went through all three, and I think we learned a lot about each other's cars doing that.
we did. Yeah,
You know,
I know. I
from
definitely did with the Discovery.
yeah,
I found
it
it quite
certainly
interesting doing
did.
the Discovery. Especially
Mm.
comparing the Disco and the Range, that was quite an interesting one, being sort of similar-ish sized cars.
Yeah.
Being the bigger two, that was quite an interesting comparison. And then having the little Freelander is almost sort of your entry level. That was quite good. That was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a great video to make, and like I say, we learned about the practicality of each one, the sort of the interiors of each one as well. You know how they differ,
yeah,
going from the range to the disco and the Freelander, and how they've differed over the years. And yeah, that was a great video. If you haven't seen that, pop into the video section and have a look, because it's quite interesting, the comparison. If you're looking at coming into the 4x4 off-roading world, and you're looking at Land Rovers, and you're thinking, oh, I'm toying between the idea of something that I just want to chuck around on the lanes, or just as it could be just a daily, couldn't it? You could just
yeah,
use it a daily car if you wanted. If you know, you've got these options out there, and yeah, really great video to make, um, which ties in really nicely into the equipment we use. So the equipment that
yeah,
we use whilst we're filming and we're putting all this together. A lot of people would probably use their phones. You can do it with your phone. You can, most phones now are recording 4K,
yeah,
um, and up whatever there is up from 4K. It's probably more than that now. And the technology that we use when we make these videos, so we use a drone, so the DJI Mini 2. We use GoPro 11.
yeah,
Uh, we use your
yeah.
Insta
Insta 360.
360.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
1 inch R or something along those lines. Yeah,
yeah,
so the one of the latest ones.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it's really good kit. And what you
yeah,
find is that when you're making these, certainly these laning videos now, when we go out and do these laning videos, is that we have to pull together all this footage, and there can be literally hours worth,
oh yeah,
putting all the footage together, isn't it? It's really sort of like overwhelming. You think, oh my god, I've got all these clips, and then you've got to make sure they're in time.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah, you'll
what
have all
we've
this footage, and then suddenly I spam you with 10 other videos from
ten other videos. You're like,
mine.
right, okay, where does that all go? Where does that fit? Because you have to sort of rewind and think, oh god, this is not
Yeah,
happening. But it does work really well. And one of the consistent, we'll talk about the problems first, because we like to get the problems out of the way. One of the consistent problems we have with both the GoPro and the Insta 360 is a problem with overheating, isn't it, James?
yeah,
The
yeah, yeah, yeah,
consistent problems we have with that, especially more so, well, it was a couple of months back when we were filming, and the heat and everything. You'd get, after, I don't know how long, but if the camera was consistently being used, which of course it would be, because you're using it, for different angles on the car, you're using it outside the car,
yeah,
and especially for shots where we needed a long period of a sort of footage, you then get this message, which certainly on the GoPro would appear and say,
yeah.
a camera is too hot, and you think, what? How does that happen? How can it be too hot? How can something be too hot? And it's something which we've had problems with, and I think
Yeah,
the Insta 360 suffered with it
I've
as
I've had
well.
it before. Yeah, so it seems to be okay when it's outside and we're moving because the airflow going over it seems to
Yeah,
keep it cool enough. But if I was to hold it, if I was to have it inside where there's no airflow in its little case, then yeah,
yeah,
it does overheat quite quickly.
yeah.
Sometimes
I
15 minutes, sometimes it might last half hour, 40 minutes. All depends
yeah.
on the ambient temperature as well.
I'm assuming it's something to do with the battery. I think the way that, because
It is,
you can
yeah,
feel the unit, and you especially around the battery area is absolutely boiling.
yeah,
So I don't know quite what the answer is there. It's something which I think, as we make these content videos in the future, it's something to bear in mind, and perhaps keep the clip short. I don't
yeah.
know, but
Well, we
going
have
from that,
intentions, don't we, of having more cameras in the long term. I mean, I'd love to have
yeah,
more cameras. I'd love to be able to have sort of a camera on each side of the car, and
yeah,
then we'll have cameras inside the cabins as well. So when we're talking on the CB, it picks all that up, picks up driver's
yeah,
eye view, things like that. I'd love to have more equipment. So we are saving up for better equipment.
yeah,
Not just better equipment as well, mics and stuff like that as well. Because at the moment we use things like the mics that are built into like the phones or built into the cameras, which are they work, but, don't get me
yeah,
wrong, they work and they work well, but they're not work. It's things that when you've got things like wind noise. I want to
yeah,
be able to. when you've got the cameras mounted on the vehicle, obviously you get a lot of wind noise then. But if we've got
You do.
wireless microphones, then we can move the mic so it's out of the wind noise area, so it's clearer. So we,
Yeah.
we have got intentions to improve our equipment, but
Yeah.
what we've got off now obviously works for what we need it to. But we would like to get better equipment, definitely get better stuff
Yeah.
um,
It provides a
going
different
forwards.
experience, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It provides a better experience than I know. Certainly, when we did that little interview with the those really lovely people who own that Series 3.
oh, the
Uh,
Series 3, the Air
this
Force, the old Air
the Air
Force one,
Force,
wasn't it?
yeah, the Air Force Series 3, lovely people,
Yeah,
and of course we were interviewing them with the GoPro, which had the microphone accessory on, and to be fair to it, it did a really good
it
job.
does good. Yeah, the
It
problem
did a
is
really good
when
job.
you're out of shot, it doesn't pick you up as well, does it?
Yeah,
So you can't stand behind it and talk, for example. If you're interviewing them from behind and they're stood in front of the
yeah,
camera and you're behind the camera, picks them up, but then because you're
yeah,
behind it, because it's directional, it's doesn't pick up as well. So being able to have a microphone or something clipped on both parties, top for example, like a lave mic or something,
yeah.
that be obviously it doesn't matter where you stand or where the camera's pointing, we will pick you up all the time then.
Yeah, it is. It's something which we got to look at. Wireless microphones.
Yeah.
There's a whole host of a catalogue of
Oh, there's so
technology
much
out
out
there,
there.
isn't
Yeah.
there? There is a massive catalogue of technology,
I think it'll be a
and that
Christmas
goes
present to
without saying.
ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. And it's literally it's a catalogue for everything, isn't it?
There
CDs,
is.
camera
Yeah.
equipment, the
Oh, you
cars,
could
what you can
spend
buy for them.
thousands, absolutely
It is.
thousands. There's so much
It's
you could do and get.
it is. I need to stop playing with this microphone. It's like now I keep tilting this microphone by accident. There we go. Leave that there. I keep tilting it with my notes. I keep moving my notes and I keep moving the microphone. So yeah. So that hopefully going into the future, we'll bring you some different um, sort of footage as we go forward and
Yeah,
as we look at technology. Um,
yeah. So
the
we want to do more
DJI.
technical ones as well, don't we?
We do. We want to do sort of more technical lanes, and the Disco 2 will
Yeah,
give us that ability with the Range Rover to
yeah,
do that. The Freelander 2 um, has its limitations. It is a
yeah.
very capable car, and I think it gets discredited a lot because of its I don't know, perhaps because of its history or because of its size. I don't know,
Actually,
but
it does surprisingly well. I think the problem is
yeah,
it's
it
it's,
does.
it's a small it's the smaller version of the other two.
Yeah,
Um, even though the actual ground clearance is very similar to the other two vehicles in terms of the fact that the diff, sort of like the diffs, obviously where your ground
yeah,
point is. It's very similar to the other two vehicles, but the problem is the overhang from the front and rear bumper. I think is lower, so
yeah,
you're more likely to catch like the front and rear bumper when doing more technical stuff. Whereas the disco in the range tends to just avoid it, or disco might clout the tow bar, but
yeah.
it's not going to do any
the,
damage to the
the,
bumper.
the plow on the back, which
Yes, is
occasionally
it?
is sort of like, you've hit, what's going on? There's a big rock, and yeah, I with Ben's Freelander, there are obviously the height differences. Um, it's all different, isn't it? It's more
Yeah,
the, like you say, it's more the diff than anything. The diff is sort of tucked away a little bit more, I think, in the
yeah,
Freelander. Um, yeah, so we want to do that more in the future. We want to get out onto some more technical type lanes and bring you some more interesting footage
yeah,
into that. We obviously we've got the GoPro, we've got the Insta360, which gives you, as it says in the name, gives you that 360 round footage,
yep.
which is really
The
great.
360 is brilliant for that. I mean, the camera quality, it swings and roundabouts. So the Insta 360 gives you brilliant footage in terms of what it can film. So I can
Yeah,
just place the camera. I don't have to worry about where the camera is. I just have to place it, and
yeah,
it films everything. And it's brilliant for getting really great shots. Obviously, the
yeah,
downside of that is the actual film quality isn't as great as what it is on the GoPro. So the GoPro can film much nicer quality resolution
yeah,
compared to the
yeah. I have
360.
noticed that the
Yeah, if you ever look
difference.
any of our videos in 4K, you'll notice
Mm,
the ones where Sam's held actually held the GoPro, much crisper picture. But then you see the where it's actually mounted on the vehicle. So
yeah,
the footage where the cameras are mounted on the car tends to be done with the 360. If
yeah,
the more distant shots, where you got like the panning of the cars going past, that's normally done with Sam holding the the GoPro,
The
and you'll
GoPro,
notice
yeah.
a clear difference in actual picture quality between the GoPro and the 360. The GoPro is a much crisper, much nicer picture quality, but then the 360's got the ability of me being able to just mount it on the car and then post edit, then edit all of the footage, tell it what I want to look at, play around a
Yeah.
bit more, gives me more freedom. So, but they're both
Yeah.
great cameras. They're both great in what they do. They both specialize in two different things, and they work really
They
well.
are. They are.
Yeah,
They are really good. It's like with anything, isn't it? Anything technology or car based or anything in life always has its disadvantages and advantages. It's like the drone that we use, so the DJI Mini 2.
yeah,
It's a great, really great drone. It records in 4K. The battery, by the time you actually get the unit up in the air and you get it to do what you want it to do, you've got to keep an eye. There's so many things when you're
yeah,
flying a drone. If there's any drone operators watching this, you'll understand. And it's like there's a lot to think about when you're flying one of these things. You've got to think about battery, where it is in the air, because obviously you need somebody else spotting for you ideally. Its height, making sure that you're not going above your height restrictions, whereabouts you're flying. There's loads to think about,
that and the
and
weather as well.
the weather, yeah, and the weather
Yeah,
as well. I mean, not it's not always convenient to fly these things,
no,
and some strong gusts. I've had an alert. Sometimes you'll think, oh yeah, I'll pop the drone app, and before you know it, winds come in, and you get an alarm on the app saying it's too gusty or too windy or whatever it says, and you go, oh my god, I've got to land this thing without it blowing away. But it's done really well. I really like the DJI Mini, and it has provided us some great footage of us on the lanes and some really good scenery captures as we go
yeah.
out and
Oh,
explore.
it's amazing footage. It's great for especially like
Yeah,
you say on the scenery ones, and you can get the full shot, the backdrop. It's just brilliant,
yeah,
especially when you go to places like Wales or even Lake District. I'd love to. Lake District was amazing, absolutely stunning.
it was. It
I
was
recommend
really,
to
really good.
anyone. You don't need a 4x4 to go to Lake District to go and enjoy it. Highly recommend that to anybody. Absolutely stunning place to be. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely love to go up there again.
it's
Yeah, it's
where we were
brilliant.
camping, wasn't it? It was just
It was,
extraordinary.
yeah,
We was in this field, and I think we sort of turned up, got the I think well can only be described as the best pitch in the house,
yeah.
and and within I don't know minutes of us setting up, we had these jets literally flying above us, didn't we? These army
We
jets
did.
or whatever they are, these Royal Air Force flying jets
Yeah.
above us. It was an absolutely incredible place in the Lake District where we were staying. Again, scenery breathtaking, really
Yeah.
was out there, and we hope that we can go back there most certainly to explore with the cars. That would be
Yeah.
a
I'd
fantastic
love
trip to
to
do.
have a look on see what's out there laning wise to go and see because the lanes up
Yeah,
there was I'd love to think there's some great lanes up there up in the mountains and stuff. Amazing views. So yeah,
yeah,
it would be nice to take the 4x4s over there and actually go exploring a bit more as well. But I mean the roads, I mean even in the Lexus, some of those roads are absolutely stunning,
yeah,
absolutely great fun. That was at Hard Knock Pass was one of them. Um,
yeah.
Great drive up there, really
It's all
tight
button here,
corners.
isn't it?
That's it, that's it.
Yeah,
And I highly recommend it to anyone.
yeah.
Absolutely
It's
stunning.
really good visit.
Yeah, if you
Uh,
you want somewhere to go exploring, let's say you don't need a 4x4, you just want to go
no,
somewhere with nice drives, a nice route, highly recommend it. Absolutely stunning. Yeah,
and I think it would be good whether or not it was raining or if it was like a nice sunny day.
yeah,
It wouldn't matter what the weather would be like out there. It's the breathtaking views out there. It doesn't matter what the weather's like. It is just a fantastic place to be. It's so peaceful, so tranquil.
yeah,
It's a really good place to unwind and relax. You've got really good pubs around there. Fantastic walks around the reservoirs, there's loads of them out there. It's just it is a really beautiful place to be, and most certainly, hopefully, we'll be going back.
yeah.
Um, and I remember when we were flying, I was flying the drone around there because he was in the Lexus, wasn't he? And
That's it.
we
Yeah,
had Ben in the Freelander. And this is where we were talking about the comms issues. So we were talking about the
yeah,
Midland there, and it was that exact trip. So I had I had the drone and I had the Midland handheld CB. I had that
yeah,
plumbed into my ear with an earpiece, and you two went off only into the
yeah.
distance. Could still see you. I don't know how far away you were. You were I don't know,
No,
probably
couple hundred
500 yards.
meters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a couple of meters, I think. And you just literally you couldn't hear me and I couldn't hear
No,
you. It was, what is going on? It was,
yeah.
oh, it was
I
terrible.
mean,
But
I had the full aerial antenna and everything on the Lexus with the President Randy 3 still.
yeah,
So basically same setup I've got on the Range Rover. Just it just wasn't hard mounted. It was magnet on the roof of the car, and that worked
on the
absolutely
roof of the
brilliant,
car.
superb. But
Yeah,
it was the Midland unit that let us down, wasn't it? Well, it
it
must have
was.
been that antenna.
Didn't you talk to a chap as well? There was a chap you spoke
We
to because we
did.
couldn't
I
hear
picked
him.
I picked some. I picked up another channel. They were coming from the coast, the west coast of Wales.
Yeah,
I forgot, can't remember the name of the town now, but yeah, they were coming from the west coast, and they were talking on a CB of some form. I think it was a
yeah.
fixed on a building style. And yeah, I was picking him up crystal clear, and he was picking me
Wow.
up crystal clear. And we'll have a full conversation, and he was God knows how many miles away. He was probably about 10, 15 miles away. So I was chatting
I
away
do
to
remember
him.
because what was funny was we could hear him, but I don't think he could hear us because we were responding, but I don't think he was hearing us.
No, he was
So
picking me up.
he was definitely picking you up. We could hear the conversation going on. I said to Ben, I said, I don't think you can hear us. And then we changed channels because we sort of needed to try and talk to you, sort of get back in touch with you.
Yeah.
And you had this chap sort of in on the conversation. It was like, he can't hear us. We're trying to talk to James. He can't hear us. Yeah, that was I can't remember where you said he was from now. I think it was
No.
Llandudno or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, really, really great place. And that was that was the Lexus and the Freelander.
Yeah,
So
it
you know,
was, yeah.
we can certainly go back there and explore. I think one
The
of the things
disco
that
in
we
the
want
range,
to
yeah.
cover in these live videos is something which somebody asked for. One of the some of the subscriber asked for running costs, wasn't it? Running costs of the car. I'm just looking at the time. We're not probably going to have time to cover complete sort of cover the sort of cost of these cars and the running costs in this one, but maybe perhaps in our next one or the one after. I don't know. We'll have to have a think.
We'll say this was very much a sort of a test stream, wasn't it? As you know, as a curious, see how it goes, and then get an idea, wasn't it? Because we would like to do these more regular, whether it's sort of once a month sort of thing, and even if it's not an hour, even if it's sort of half an hour. And the idea here is as well is it's not just a video on YouTube, but it's almost like a podcast as well. So if you want to, you can tune in and listen in. You don't have to watch. You don't. It's just our faces on the screen.
It's just our faces.
Obviously,
if I can drag Ben out of the house, or he's gone out for the dogs, I can drag him next time, pull him in. It'd be really good to have him here as well. Because one of the things also, we were discussing this earlier, wasn't we? Yeah. So we were saying, if you want to be on here, be part of the live stream. If you want to show us your car, send us a picture of your car and the brief description of it, what you've done, the modifications, what is it you like about your car, what is it you don't like about your car, and that can be anything. It can be it can be a Freelander, it can be any 4x4, or even if you just stumble across our channel and you just want to sort of show your car to us, send it in to us.
Sort of anything off-roading, really. Off-roading, 4x4, Greenland. It's not limited to Land Roving either. It's just we own 3 Land Rovers, but we're not limited to Land Rovers. I know you've got something like a Hilux or or a Jeep. It's send us. We want to see your cars or what you've done with it. We can show them off on here as well. If you want us to show off your vehicles and tell us about your cars or what you've done to them, or even if it's bog standard and you want to do something down the line with it, just tell us about it.
Tell us about it. We can bring it up on here, can't we? We can. Technology will let us hopefully do that. We can show it to the world if you want that to happen. We can talk about it, and we can compare it. Maybe we can compare it to other people's if you wish that to happen. If you so wish, if you want to send us your car, if you want to send us a picture with a brief description, as I say, send it to us at frenchiesroadtrips@gmail.com. And we'll pick that up in the email at some point, and we hope that in the next episode of one of these live broadcasts that we do, we may have your car to discuss and show and hopefully put on here, because that would be a really great thing to do. And tell us about your modifications that you've done, or if you haven't done anything, tell us what you really like about your car, why you've bought it, how many
Yeah,
miles
we'd
has
love
it's
to
done.
get people actually involved, get the community
Yeah.
involved. Just tell us about, well, not even your car, tell us about places you've been. Show us other places where you've been.
Hmm.
Show us adventures you've been on or lanes you've discovered. You recommend or highly, you think this is a great place to go. Send us them. Maybe one day we all go and explore it.
Go
We
and
love
explore.
exploring. We'd love
Yeah.
to see where you guys have been as well. Show us
Send
where
us your
you've been.
review.
This is it.
Send us your review of your adventures and a review of your car. And we'd be more than happy to talk about it on here. It's what we really want to get involved in. We want you to become
Yeah.
involved in the channel and how you can contribute to the channel by submitting those sorts of things. So as I say, send us an email, frenchiesroadtrips@gmail.com, and we will try our best to sort that out for the next live podcast, I suppose, if
Yeah.
that's what you call these podcasts.
Yeah, I
And
mean that's the idea. Is the idea is you
yeah,
can tune in and listen. I mean, you could even tune in and listen from your car. Just
yeah,
obviously turn it on, hook it up to your radio, and just listen whilst you
yeah,
drive. Just listen to it as like a normal podcast. Now that's the idea, and we may look at we may keep it an hour. We may even reduce it down to half hour and do more frequent ones at half hour, but with half-hour viewings. So it's
yeah,
sort of more manageable, bite-sized chunks that people can listen
chunks.
to and tune in and out of.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
It's gone, and I must admit, looking at the time, we started this stream at 5 o'clock. We do obviously go until 6. We've got another 5 minutes to go, and even in that time, we've covered a lot.
yeah.
And we'd hope that when we do these in the future, we can have you guys, um, as I say, contribute. Give us pictures of your cars. We can talk about it, make you feel more involved, and yeah, see where it takes us. See where it
Yeah,
takes us,
definitely.
and you know, like James says, this could be once every month. It could be twice a month, at different sorts of lengths.
Yep.
Let us know. Drop us an email. Um, Comment on this feed if you haven't done already. Comment on the feed
Yep.
saying, has an hour been enough? Would you like a bit longer? Would you like a bit less? And we will try our best to change that when we do another one. I
Yep.
don't know when we're going to go live again. We'll have to have a
A
we'll have to have
discussion.
a conflab, won't we, about
Yeah.
that? And where we're going to sort of go live. We could go live from another location, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if we certainly get you guys involved who are watching, that would be really great, and we can talk about other things, And I hope it's been really interesting. I hope what we've talked about in this hour, which has gone really, really quick. I hope it's been of
Ridiculously quick. Yeah.
interest. I hope it's been useful. What we've discussed, we've talked about some lanes, we've talked about where we've been recently, some of the kit and the technology that we use in the cars and how we make these videos. So I hope that's been really interesting. And obviously talking about what we want to do for the future. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm just looking at my list. I think I'm kind of there. We've gone through most of the stuff we wanted to cover.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can think of, James, that I haven't covered or you'd like to
Not really. Not
say?
in the
Or
space of 3 minutes, anyway.
3 minutes? I know you sort of think, oh, what haven't we talked about? And as I say,
Yeah.
there were definitely requests for us to talk about the running costs, and that is something we will do. We will
Yeah.
definitely cover running costs because I think that's something that's always on people's minds,
Yeah.
especially in this climate at the moment that we're all in. How much is it going to cost me to run a Freelander 2? How much is it going to cost me to run a Discovery 2 and a Range Rover B38 maybe?
Yeah.
And it's those sorts of questions that we can try and answer in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And we're going to need a lot of notes, I think, because my memory is, and as you know, it's most terrible. And yeah, we get some information together, and hopefully
Yeah.
we can bring
Like I
that to
say,
you
these will be
in
left
another
on.
video.
These will be left up on YouTube as well to watch as well. So if you have missed the live or you've only joined halfway through, the video will still be on there. Go back and rewatch it or re-listen. During a an adventure in the car or on your work
Yeah,
break or something. Want something to listen to. That's what these are here for.
it is.
Um,
It certainly is.
yeah.
And I think the latest video we did, well, that's out at the moment. Is that the Welsh one? Is that the Welsh video we did?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it's just after
Yeah.
we've done the electric vehicle one.
Yeah. So there's that to watch, and hopefully we'll be making another video very soon.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a few technical ones. Obviously, we're going to be doing the Range Rover soon with this suspension. I think there's suspension on the Freelander, so hopefully we might be able to get a couple of technical videos out as well. I'd like to do some, obviously it depends on the day, depends on the weather. So, we might not always be able to film the stuff we do. I'd like to do some filming on the suspension with the Range Rover being done, the airbags on that, but obviously that's weather depending. We might be a case of we just have to get it done, sadly, without filming. So, but we'll try and do as much as we can. There's stuff we want to do. But yeah, just watch this space.
We will get there. Watch this space. Keep an eye out for those videos. Keep an eye on the community tab, because we love the community tab on YouTube. We love posting stuff out on there. We hope you like that as well. And I'm gonna wrap that up. And we hope you enjoyed this live stream. As I say, if you want to be part of it, please do. We really want you to be part of it. Rewind somehow in the YouTube thing, and you'll hear me say about the Gmail email address to send us what you want us to talk about next, and we'll try our best for next time. We hope you enjoyed it, and it's a goodbye from us until next time, and we will see you again very shortly soon in another Frenchies road trip live video. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
Bye.